The waitress's shock, when the old man looked beyond the window. The diner was nearly empty when he walked in, a tall, frail man with silver hair and eyes that seemed to carry decades of silence. The bell above the door jingled softly, and in that moment, everything about the place felt still. The smell of coffee, the hum of the ceiling fan, even the steam rising from the soup pot behind me. I'd been on my feet for 8 hours, working the lunch rush, smiling through exhaustion the way waitresses learn to, one polite nod at a time. But something about this man made me pause. Maybe it was the way he looked around, not like someone choosing a table, but like someone searching for something, or someone. He chose the booth by the window. The gray light from outside washed over his face, and as I walked over, I noticed the deep lines on his hands. The kind that only come from years of hard work. "Good afternoon, sir," I said, trying to sound cheerful. "Can I start you off with something to drink?" He looked up slowly. "Just water, thank you." His voice was soft, polite, almost too polite, as if he hadn't spoken to anyone in a while. When I brought his water, he was still staring out the window, past the parking lot, past the two men talking near a black car. He didn't blink much. It was like he was watching ghosts. I set his plate down, gnocchi with mushrooms and cream sauce, and smiled. "Careful, it's hot." He didn't answer. Just kept staring outside. For a moment, I felt invisible, just another waitress serving another lonely customer. But then, he spoke. "Do you ever think about how a single meal can change a person's life?" I blinked, unsure what to say. "I guess it depends on the meal," I joked lightly. He didn't smile. "It depends on the kindness behind it." Something in his tone made me stop wiping the table. I pulled out the chair across from him. "Rough day?" I asked gently. He turned his eyes to me then, sharp but kind. "You remind me of someone," he said. "Someone who once gave me a warm meal when I couldn't afford it." I told myself I'd never forget her kindness, and I didn't. I smiled awkwardly. "That's sweet of you." But he kept staring, not at me, but at something beyond the glass. My heart sank as I followed his gaze. Outside, two men in dark coats stood beside a black SUV, arguing quietly. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see the tension in their faces. When I turned back, the old man's eyes were wet. "They're my sons," he whispered. "They haven't spoken to each other in 10 years. And I don't have much time left to fix that." I froze. He took a deep breath. "This diner, it was our family's once. My wife ran it. My boys grew up playing in that parking lot. After she passed, I sold it, too broken to stay. Now they're here, arguing about who gets what when I'm gone." My throat tightened. The gnocchi on his plate was untouched. "What if," I hesitated, "what if you invited them in? Maybe share one last meal together. Maybe that's what they need." He smiled faintly. "Maybe, but they wouldn't come for me." Without thinking, I walked outside. The cold wind hit my face, but I didn't care. "Excuse me," I called out to the two men. They turned, confused. "Your father's inside. He's not asking for anything, just your time, please." They looked at each other, the weight of old anger heavy in the air. Then, slowly, one nodded. The other followed. When they entered the diner, the old man's hands trembled. His eyes widened, the same way a drowning man might react to air. I watched from the counter as they sat together, 3 plates before them. They didn't talk much at first. But then, a small laugh. A memory. A tear. And finally, silence, the peaceful kind. When I came to clear the table later, the old man was gone. Just a note tucked under the plate. It read, "Thank you for being the kindness my family needed. You didn't just serve food, you served forgiveness." That night, after closing the diner, I drove home to my small apartment. When I arrived, I found the janitor from my building playing outside with my little boy, splashing water from a garden hose, laughing like it was the best day of their lives. For a second, I just stood there, watching them. It hit me then, kindness doesn't always come from grand gestures. Sometimes, it's a simple meal, a few honest words, or a moment shared between strangers. And sometimes, it's the smallest act that brings broken hearts back together. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, can ripple through lives in ways we may never see. Because sometimes, all it takes to heal a lifetime of pain is one warm plate and one open heart.